Mm, Okay, hello. I hope I'm audible. Just let me check. Is my voice audible? Yes. Yes. I think my screen is visible. I'm clearly audible to everyone. So today we will be starting with the basics of general test. I'll be covering most of the part of your logical reasoning and quantitative aptitude. Just for a quick intro, sorry, sorry for that. Yeah. So I was saying just for a quick intro, I am Chaitanya Siras. I am studying at the IPM program at IIM Ranchi. And talking about today's topic, percentages. So percentage, we will like percentage is the base for your all your further topics in LR as well as quant. So there will be multiple questions related to LR and quants, which will be covered in percentages. So just let me figure out how to write it here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Mm, Yeah. Okay. So the percentage topic, as I was saying, is very crucial for your all further topics in LR as well as quants. So without any further delay, let's start with the question. Not the question, will mm, mm, I would remember then when I updated this. Okay. So the topic percentage, let's start with a very basic example. Let's say I have two values, A and B. Let's say my A is, let's say 30 and B is 40. So we will have some basic, uh, like how does percentage actually work? Now, the first question is, what is A% of B? So A% of B, you simply write 30, which is A upon B into 100. So this is A upon B. Percent means parts of 100. So into 100. Fine. So if we solve this, we will get what? 75%. Similarly, the part 2 says what is B% of A? My A was initially 30 and B was 40. So B% of A would be simply nothing but you just write 40 upon 30 into 100. So if you solve this, you will get 133%. 133.33%. This is very fundamental, like A% of B and B% of A. The real trick is in question C, in the part C and part D. What A is more than B by what percentage? So here you will have to take the difference first. So A is more than B. Uh, let's change values so that it's A is more than B. Let me keep A as 50 and B as 40 for part C and D. All right. So A is more than B by what percentage? So you take the difference first. So A is more, so you do A minus B upon than B. So you divide by B. So in your questions, you will have to decide the denominator based on this word than. So the word which is after than, let's say it's B here, and in next question it's A. So if it is B, you take B, and for question B, you will have to do A minus B upon B. So if you solve this into 100, of course, for percent, so this will give you 50 minus 40, which is 10. 10 upon B is 40, so this will be 25%. Similarly, when you solve this one, this will be what? 10 upon, uh, oh, I think I did something wrong here. Yeah, here it should be A because we are finding B is less than A by what percentage? So here it will be A. So it will be what? 10 upon what? 10 upon 50 into 100. So this will be nothing but 20%. I hope these basic concepts are clear at least. If you have any doubt, let me know. I'll solve them right now. I think we are good to go, or we can take doubts at the end as well, if that's fine. Okay. The main key with all these competitive exams, let it be CUET or any other exam, is the speed of your questions. How fast do you solve? So I'll give you some basic things that you need to sort of learn or you need to practice, which will be essentially very helpful when you solve questions. So to begin with, let's just have let's just write what are the different percentages or fractions as percentages. So first we have 1 upon 1. We all know it's 100%. Then I can write 1 upon 2. This is nothing but 50%. 1 upon 3 is 33.33%. I can write 1 upon 4 as 25%. 1 upon 5 is 20%. 1 upon 6 is 16.66%. 1 upon 7 is 14.28%. 1 upon 8 is 12.5. 1 upon 9 is 11.11%. 1 upon 10 is 10%. 1 upon 11 is your 9.09%. And 1 upon 12 is 8.25%. Not 8.2. Yeah, just let me check. Yeah, it should be 8.33. 8.33%. Fine. So these are fractions from I started with 1 and I went up to 12. So if you know these basic percentages and fractions, solving questions would be very easy. Like if you write it twice or thrice, maybe you will develop a recognition pattern. Like let's say somebody says that uh, a person sold 16.66% of his wealth. So you would quickly write it as 1/6%. I'll also give you a hint to remember these. 1 upon 1 is very easy, 100%, and 1 upon 2 is also very easy, 50%. If you do half of this, 1 upon 2 to 1 upon 4, you get 25%. If you do again and half, you will get 1 upon 8, which is 12.5%. So I hope 1 upon 1, 1 upon 2, 1 upon 4, and 1 upon 8 are very easy to remember. Uh, Now for 1 upon 3, you can remember it as 33.33%. If I take a half, it will be 1/6, which is 16.66%. And if I again take a half, it will be 12.33%. So you can connect these three to remember. 1 upon 5 is very easy, 20% to divide 100 by 5, it's 20%. For 1 upon 7, how you can remember is 7, the first multiple of 7, like 7 into 2 will give you 14, and then into 4 will give you 28. So you can remember it as 14.28%. 1 upon 10 is again very easy. It's just 10%. So these two are fairly easy to remember. For 1 upon 9 and 1 upon 11, you can find an inverse relation. Like for 9, it is 11.11. For 1 upon 11, it is 9.09. So you can remember all these 12 percentage in that fashion. If you want to take a screenshot quickly, you can take a screenshot and then we will move ahead. I hope these are very like, I call it as a formula, I can say the best to remember things. All right, I'll erase this. Okay. Uh, this, okay. This is yet another formula you should remember for any percentage question. The percentage is always change upon original into 100. So let's say we are talking about how many chocolate person A has. So let's say person A initially had 30 chocolates and now he has 75 chocolates. So if somebody asks you what is the percentage change, in this case there is an increase. So you will find percentage increase. Had it been, let's say, from 30, he had given his friend some chocolate and he is left with, let's say, 15. This would have been percentage decrease. So if somebody asks how much percent is the increase in the first case, it would be 75 minus 30 upon initial or the original. So originally he had 30. So this will be how much? It will be 25 and 20, 45 upon 30, which is nothing but 150%. And for this case, if somebody asks what is the percentage decrease, it's fairly easy. It has reduced to half, so it should be directly 50%. All right, kindly remember this formula. It will be helpful in almost every subject you go. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, let's solve some examples so that it's more clear to you. All right, the maximum 36% is the maximum marks in an examination, and it is equal to 756 marks. So what I can say, 36% of maximum is 756. And now they are asking us 54% of maximum. So what we can do, we can find the maximum first. How we can find maximum? I can write 36% as 36 upon 100 into, let's say, max equal to 756. If I take it on the other side, max will be 756 into 100 upon 36. If I do this, it will be 36 to the 72, and I'm left with 36, so it is 1. So the maximum marks is 2100. Now they are asking us what is 54% of the marks. Once you have found the maximum marks, it's very easy. Do 54%, 54 of 100 of means multiplication. This. So simply I can get rid of these two zeros. It will be how much? 54 plus 108 and a 0. So it will be 4, 13, 1, 1344. And write it little clearly. This is 1344. So I'll again read the question. 36% of a maximum marks in an examination is 756, and we were asked for 54%. So we calculated what is the maximum marks first, and then we got maximum marks was 2100, and using that we calculated 54%. Any percentage, percent means for every 100. So 54% means 54 upon 100. So I multiplied it with the maximum marks, and I got 1134 as the correct answer. All right. Okay, let's move ahead. I'll clear the annotation. All right. It says second and third term are 20% and 80% more than the first. Okay. Here we don't have any information about what is the actual value. We just have to deal with percentages. So how can I write that? Let's say I have three terms, A, B, and C. A is my first term, B second, and C third. So second is 20% more than first. So let's assume it to be 100. 100 I am choosing for ease of calculation. You can choose any other number, will get the exactly same answer. So it is 20% more. What is 20%? 20% of 100 is nothing but 20 itself. It is 20% more. So I add 20 plus 100, so I get 120. Similarly, for C, it is 80% more than 100. Then term 1 or the first value, it should be 80. 80 plus 100 will give me 180. Now, the question is asking me what percentage second term is of third. What is second term of third? So I can do it this way. It will be nothing but 120 upon 180 into 100. So if I divide it by 60, this will be 2 and this will be 3. We just saw that 1/3 is nothing but 33.33%. So if you multiply it by 2, you will get 66.66% as the correct answer. I hope this logic is clear to you. So my final value I'll write in red. So this is nothing but 66%. All right. I'll again solve the question or read the question and explain once. Second and third term are 20% and 80% more than the first. What percentage of second term is third? So I assumed A to be 100. I got 20% more, which is 120, and 80% more is 180. And then I simply solve for what percent of second term is the third. All right. We can have an alternate way. Like there could have been a different question. Like I am writing it here. What percent or by how much percent is, let's say, C or the third term more than B? So this could have been a question. So how do you solve this? You can write, you will have to take the difference. If you remember, my A was 100, my B was 120, and my C was 180. So here I have to find how much percent is C more than B. So I'll take the difference. It is 60, clearly 180 minus 20, more than B. So I have to divide by B into 100. So this is nothing but half, and we just saw half is nothing but 50%. Alright, this was a alternate way they can ask questions. Uh, Questions will be fairly easy in your exam. The only key is the speed. So the faster or the more practice you do, faster you can solve and higher can you score. All right. I hope this question is clear. Okay, let's move ahead. I'll clear my annotation. Yeah. All right. Let's have a look at this question. Okay, if price rises by 20%, by what percentage a family reduce the consumption in order to spend the same amount as before? All right, this is a very easy question. If you get the concept clear. Okay, now they say, let's start with a basic assumption. A family must be consuming something. So let's say consume at some price. So it would give you the total expense or total amount, let me say. All right. Like, let's say the family used to consume 10 kgs of rice at a price of 100 rupees per kg. So the total amount they were spending was nothing but 10,000. All right. Now, what does the question tell us? The price rises by 20%. So the price has now gone to 120. There has been a 20% increase. Now, how much should the family reduce the consumption in order to spend the same amount as before? So they are saying the amount is still the same, and I have to find the consumption. Let's say it is X. So in this case, what I was doing, I was multiplying 100 into 100 to get this. So similarly, 1x into 120 is giving me 10,000. So for answer, I can simply do 10,000 upon 120. I can cancel the 0. It will be nothing but how much? 12 8s are 96, 40 carry, and then 12 3s are, so it will be 83.33. Uh, Please note, this is the not percentage. This is not the percentage. This is the final value I got. The question is asking us what percentage are we changing? All right. So we got X as 83.33%. I'll write it somewhere here. So I got X as 83.33%. So initially I was consuming 100 kgs or the family was consuming 100 kgs. Now they are said to consume 83.33%. Now what is the percentage decrease? How do we find percentage decrease? I told you the formula, change upon original into 100. So what is the change? It is 67.16. 16.67 upon 100. So this is nothing but 16.66% or 67%. Either of the option will be correct. 66.66 or 66.67. 16.67, sorry. Alright, I hope the logic is clear. I'll repeat the question once again. If the price rises by 20%, by what percentage should a family reduce the consumption in order to spend the same amount as before? So I assumed some consumption. You can assume it anything, 10, 1000, 100, 1, whatever you want. I took 100 because it's easy to calculate in terms of percentage. And I took price as 100 rupees per kg. So the total amount they were spending was 10,000 rupees. So now the question tells me the price has increased 20%, so it has become 120. The amount remains the same, so I find the new how much do they consume? It was 83.33. So what's the percentage decrease? It is 16.66% or 16.67%. I hope the logic is clear. All right, let's move ahead. If the price of an article went up 20%, what percentage should be brought down to bring it back to original price? Uh, this question may seem a very direct one, like how it's a straight away question, yeah. Like I increased 20% and then I decreased 20%, so my net effect is zero. But that's a wrong conception, I can say. Let's have an example to look about it. Let's say the price of article was 100 first and it went up by 20%. So you calculate 20% of 100, which is nothing but 20 itself. So now the new price is 120. Now the question says we want to bring it back to original price. So it should be 100 again. So in this case, what happens is you have to find 20, the decrease is 20 upon the original. In this case, my original value was 120. I'll repeat. First, I had original price as 100. Then I increased it 20%. My new value is 120. Now I decide to bring it back to 100 again. Now for the second part, my original value is 120. And how much am I reducing? 20. 20 upon original price is 120 in this case. So this is nothing but 1 by 6. And we just now saw 1 by 6 is 16.66%. So the correct answer in this case would be option A. Well, 2 by 3. So 16.66 is what? 16.6. This is nothing but 2 by 3. All right, 0.66%. So this can be a little tricky question. There's nothing difficult in it. It just can be a tricky question in your exam. Like if you are in a very hurry, you will say, 20% I have increased, so I have to reduce 20%. You will take option B and you will get it wrong. So the easiest way is you just assume some arbitrary value, whatever you want, comfortable with, and you solve the question and you will get the correct answer. And don't remember that for the second part, 120 will be my original price. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, this one talks about area. These are very simple general application of percentages. In upcoming sessions, there will be multiple application of percentages. That's why I want you to be thorough with percentages. Okay, the question reads, if the length of a rectangle increases by 20% and the breadth decreases by 10%, what percentage change in its area? All right. We did a similar for that family rice consumption. However, in this case, the length and breadth are both changing. Let's say originally I had a square or a rectangle with length 100 and breadth also 100. So what was my area at that point? It was 10,000. Now what they are saying, the length has increased by 20%. So it has increased to 120 and the breadth has decreased by 10%. So it is 90. All right. So this is a fairly easy question. You can calculate the new area. Area of a rectangle is what? Length into breadth. So I can find 90 into 120. It will give me how much? 1080 and 1. So now the new area is 10,800. Originally it was 10,000. Can you find the percentage increase? The change is of 800 and the original was 10,000. I can cut this to 0. This is 8 upon 100, which is nothing but 8%. And the area has increased. So it's a 8% increase. I hope you are clear with this question. This was a fairly easy question. In percentage, most of the times, you will have to assume some value first, and then you can solve the question. If you can also do it in a percentage manner, but that would just complicate the question as well. All right, let's move ahead. And clear the annotation. Okay. P gets 25% more than Q, then Q gets less than P by what percentage? This is similar as that A and B question we did on the first slide. Uh, okay, let's solve it strictly. Let's assume P and Q have some value. Let's start with P is 20% more than Q. So let's say Q has 100. So P will be 125. Now the question asks me Q gets less than P by what percent? So it's a straight away question. You just have to do change. Change. What is the change? Change between less than P. So upon P, 125 into 100. So this will be nothing but if I reduce this will be 1 upon 5 and we just saw 1 upon 5 is nothing but 20%. So the correct answer is option C. Straight away question, easy marks. I'll repeat. If P gets 25% more than Q, then Q gets less than P by what percentage? I assumed Q as 100. I can assume P as 100 as well, but it says P is 25% more. What students usually go wrong with is when they say P is 100 and then they say Q is 125%. Since they forget this more term sometimes, it happens quite often. And then they calculate it is what? Then it says Q gets less than P by what percent? You get 25 upon 100 and you write 25% as the answer. However, it's not the option here, so you will eventually get it correct at the end. But again, the key is the speed. Okay, I'll clear my annotation. The correct answer here was part B. All right, let's move ahead. I'll slightly touch upon profit and loss so that we can solve some questions related to it. This I'll talk about profit and loss. By large, when we do profit and loss, we will have a dedicated class for it. But for the time being, just for the percentage sake, I want to give you how percentage is applicable in profit and loss. So these are some basic formulas I can say. Cost price is the price for making something. Let's say you are a shopkeeper, you buy some biscuits and you sell it ahead. Or a better example would be you are a fashion store. Let's say something like a Zara or H&M. You purchase the garments. Let's say you purchase a T-shirt for 100 rupees and you sell it for 125 rupees. So you make a profit of how much? 25 rupees. Suppose the H&M decides, or the person A decides to sell it for 75. So he makes a loss of 25 rupees. Not 25%, should be 25 rupees. Alright, so in this case, 100 is my cost price and 125 is my selling price. So this is CP and this is SP. SP is selling price, CP is cost price. So you can find these two formulas here for profit and loss. You incur a profit when your selling price is higher than cost price, and loss when cost price is more than selling price. All right, let me talk about marketed price or mark price. Sorry, mark price. Now let's say you go to buy some clothes. You will always find there's some value written on a tag, and then they'll provide you a discount. Let's say for H&M, they are selling a t-shirt, and the t-shirt says 1,000 rupees on it. But the what I can say, the shopkeeper or the company decides to give a 20% off sale. So you get a 20% reduction, 20% of this is 200. So you will get it at 800. So here in this case, your 1,000 is your marked price. Marked, you can remember by the tag. So the amount written on the tag, and this is your selling price. So the shopkeeper or the H&M company, it gave you a 20% discount. So you can find discount, or you can find if marked price is given and discount is given, you can find selling price. If selling price and discount is given, you can find marked price. So if any two terms out of these three is given, you can easily find. So I just want you to quickly write these formulas and these formulas as well. So for profit percentage and loss percentage, profit percent is profit upon cost price into 100, and loss percent is loss upon cost price into 100. Fine, we will stick with loss and profit for the day. We will talk at discount and discount percentage. We will solve those questions in a dedicated class for loss P&L. All right. A key thing to remember in both of these cases, the denominator is cost price. Don't get it wrong there. I hope you have noted down the formulas. We will solve one or two questions. All right. This without offering. Okay. Raja marked a toy at 400. He sold it without offering discount. If his cost is 300, find his profit. So since he has not given any discount, his cost price is 400, selling price is 400, and it's given its cost price is 300. So what is the profit percentage? You can straight away apply formula. Profit percentage is profit upon cost price into 100. What's my profit in this case? It's selling price minus cost price. So Raja made a profit of 100. So this is 100 upon 300 into 100. If I cancel zeros, I'll get 1 by 3. And we saw at the beginning of class, 1 by 3 is nothing but 33%. 33.33%. Fine. Straight away question, easy marks. Raja marked the toy at 400. Without offering discount, he sold it at 300. So if selling price was 400, sorry, his cost was 300. So he made a profit of 100 bucks. And the profit percentage is profit upon cost price into 100, which is nothing but 33.33%. I hope you are clear with this question. This question is an application of both P&L and percentage. Again, I'll clear the point. Okay. Raja bought 15 kgs of refined oil for 450. He was forced to sell it at a loss equal to selling price of 3 kgs. Okay, fine. This is a little difficult one, or it's more related with PNL, so we will do it later on. Let's skip this question for the while. If you want to try it, you can try it as a homework, I can say, or just to try out if you know PNL well. I'll be covering PNL again in a dedicated class, so don't worry. Mm, okay, this one is fairly okayish and good for your percentage as well. So my focus in this class is on percentage. So don't worry if I go for PNL a little bit. PNL, I'll again, as I said, I'll take it at length. Okay, Prasad bought 2 bags for a total of 400. So let's say he bought the first bag at X and second at Y, and the total price for X and Y was 400. Now he sold one at a 10% profit and another at 10% loss. If he bought each bag at same price. So if each bag is of same price, this should be 200 and this should be 200. Now what it says, he sold one for a 10% profit. So 10% of 200 is 20. So this one was sold for 220 and this one was sold for 10% loss. So this was sold at 180. So what's his total selling price? This is nothing but 400 again. So we solved one question where we first increased 10% and then we decreased 10% and we got some different value, I guess. But in this case, it's the same. The total selling price is still 400. So a 10% profit on one bag has been nullified by another. Fine. So his total selling price in this case would be 400. Wait, how much time have we left? Yeah, we have 20 more minutes. Okay. Right. This is also a good one for your percentage. Here the okay. By selling an article for 7816, a shopkeeper incurs a loss of 20%. So he has sold it for this price and he has incurred a loss of 20%. So let's say if the original price was 100% and he made a 20% loss, this must be 80%. Correct? Now what they're saying, at what price should he sell as to gain 10% profit? So for 10% profit, he has to sell at 110% of this price. So what I can say, I can just as X and I can do a cross multiplication. So I can multiply 7816 with 110 and X into 80. Did you get this logic? Or there can be one intermediate step. You first find this value, which is 100%, and then you add 10% of it. I'll do it by just to give a different flavor. I'll do it by cross multiplication. So this should be 7816 into 110 upon 80 equal to X. Okay, so if I divide by 80, this will give me 9 the 72, 6 carry 61, 7 the 56, 56 carry 977 into 110. So I can write it as 977 and 977. So it will be 7, 14, 27, 10. So this value will be, yeah, 10,747. I'll write it little neatly so that you can note it down. So if I solve this value, I'll get 10747. We can also find the original value. So original value was 9700. This was the original price, like he did. Then he subtracted 20%, so we get 7816. If we add 10% to it, we will get this value. Did I do something wrong? Did I miss it? I think the options are wrong, or this value is wrong. I think there's some typing mistake in this question. Okay, I think the problem is with this value because this is 7816 and all of these are in thousands. So if he wants to gain a 10% price, this should be higher than this amount, right? So I hope you get the concept. The question is written wrong. Let's say the shopkeeper was selling initially at 100. So for a 20% loss, he was selling at 20. Now he wants to gain a 10% profit, so he should sell at 120, 110. So if you are given this value, can you find either of these values? If one value is given between this, you can find any one. I hope the logic is clear for the question. All right, let's move ahead. Okay, let's get this question. Let's get this one as well. Let's suppose this down. Okay, partnership I can talk about because again, uh, uh partnership involves percentages because when there's some profit, it has to be divided between partners, or let's say they are contributing to the capital. So there will be some uh, percentage in which they contribute. Let's say there is a partnership firm ABC, which has three partners, A, B, and C. So ideally, all of them should contribute equally. Let's say they have a total capital of 10,000. So A must have, let's have something divisible by 3 for ease of calculation. Let's say they have a total capital of 9,000. So A must have given 3,000, B should have given 3,000, and C should have given 3,000. How do I find this? I add these three. So this is 3x equal to 9,000. And you can find the x of 3,000. All right. So there's nothing much of a theoretical part in the partnership. So we'll straight away go to questions and I'll tell how percentages are applicable in your partnership question. One good point here is how much profit they get is for how many months do they stay. So like just to give a quick example, let's say A and B started a firm. Both of them invested 1,000 rupees and 1,000 rupees. And A was there for all 12 months, 1 year, while B was there for just 6 months. So do you think it is fair for A and B to get same profit? Definitely not. B will get less profit because he has only stayed for 6 months, and A has stayed for 12 months. Okay. So what does the question say? A and B entered into a partnership. They had 54,000 and 81,000 respectively. A stayed for entire year, so he stayed for 12 months. At the end of first year, the profit was distributed equally. So this person A, got the same profit as person B. Then the question asks, how many months less was B's investment there in the business? So now we have to find for how many months was B there. The easiest way to do this question, that since the profit is equal, 54,000 into 12 should be 81,000 into the number of years B stayed. Let's say it's X. All right. This question is not directly related with your percentages. So we'll just quickly solve it. So if I solve it here, what get, I'll get X equal to 54,000. I'm erasing this 1,000 part. 54 into 12 upon 81. I can divide by 9. So this is 9 6 and I'll get 9. I can divide by 3. So this is 3 2 3 2 and 3. I can divide by 3. I'll get 4 here. So 4 into 2, that gives me 8. So B must have stayed for 8 years. 8 months, sorry. 8 months. The essence of percentage here is this is equal. So this is very similar to the rice question we did, or the length and breadth question we did. We can the question could have been framed either way. By what percentage is B's duration in the partnership less than 12, less than 8? So here it is 8, here it is 12. So what's the percentage less, or what less percentage? It is 4 upon 12 if it is less than 8. So it will give me 1/3, which is 33.33%. Or there can be alternate question that what percent is B's duration in partnership than A. So it will be in that case 8 upon 12 into 100, which will be 2/3, which is 66.66%. Like these are multiple. The main premise of the question will be the same, but the interpretation can be different. I hope the question is clear. Just a second. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay. There's one asked to find total profit, so we'll skip it for the time being. Okay, this is related with your ratio. Shall we solve it? No, I'll skip this one. Okay, let's solve this one question before we leave. X, Y, Z invest in a partnership in a ratio of 4:7:11. And the end, the profit was distributed as 24:35:77. Now they are asking what was the time, or the time ka ratio. In partnership, what you usually do, you find, I'll give you the formula. The formula is this way. So, the amount you invest into the number of months you say, let's say it's duration, that will be your profit. I mean, it is not exactly profit, or it is proportional to your profit, your share in profit. I'll give a quick example before we solve this question. Let's say there are 3 persons, A, B, C. A invested 1,000 rupees, B invested 2,000 rupees, and C invested 3,000 rupees. A was there for all 12 months, B was there for 6 months, and this person C was for the 8 months. So what will be the proportion of ratios? You multiply these. This will be 12, this will be 12, and this will be 24. So the ratio will be 12:12:24. So I can write 12:12:24 as 1:1:2. So if at the end of the year they had 4,000 rupees as profit, so A would get 1,000, B would get 1,000, and C would get 2,000. This is like, it's more like a common sense. Uh, Having known this, now let's dive into the question. All right. Now it says XYZ invest in a partnership in the ratio of 4:7:11. So 4 must have invested, let's say 4,000. X has invested 4,000. Y has invested 7,000, and Z has invested 11,000. And the profit they get is 24:35:11. 77. There should be a colon here. So in simple words, what could have happened? This would have been 4 into 6, 24. This would have been 7 into 5, 35. And this would have been 11 into 7. So this is your final answer. There's nothing rocket science here. You don't need any formulas. You just need a common understanding about the ratios. Why did I talk about the ratios? A ratio is again very related with your percentage. At the beginning of class, I showed you some fractions which are percentage. So let's say half is a ratio, 1:2 is a ratio, while 50% is a percentage. So there's very interconnected link between your ratio proportion and percentages. That's why just a little taste of ratios and percentage in this way. Uh, Either way, a question could have been framed, let's say, by what percentage? Let me write it down. I'll clear it. By what percent is uh X, it is XYZ, no? Is C's duration more than Y? So we saw the correct answer was 6:5:7. So Y must have been there for 5 months, let's say, and Z was there for 7 months. So now I have to find C's duration is more than Y by how much percent? So it will be 7 minus 5, which is 2 months. Then Y, so I will divide by 5. This is nothing but 40%. We know 1 upon 5 is 20%. You simply multiply it by 2, you will get 40% as the correct answer. So these partnership questions or ratio proportion question or your area question, we did the length and breadth. These can be framed in multiple ways to ask. I can't say there will be an independent question for percentage specifically. Percentage is a very, what I can say, a diverse topic which is spread across various topics. So I hope you got the basic taste of percentages. Uh, in the conclusion note, I would just, if you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. For conclusion notes, I'll again tell you what to prepare for percentages. Number one, those fractions as percentage, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, up to 1/12. You can go beyond 1/12, but I think 1/12 is sufficient for any question. Number two, you must know the formula of percentage change. Write it, percentage change. It was change upon original into 100. Then we did some basic for some basic like your PNL. We saw some basic formulas of percentage, profit and loss profit. And in the end, we did some partnership questions, which were related to your ratios. I wouldn't say it's purely ratio. Ratio is also in some way percentage, so I can still write ratios here. So, and also we did those questions where we had initially some percentage, then it increased to some percent, and it happened that way. The rice question or the rectangle area question, and the last one we did the partnership. So, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm there for 5 more minutes, and then we'll stop. Thank you so much.